Well, I was coming to already record an episode just because of the Dana Evans extension and the growth of the game. And right before I came to record, we got notified that the WNBA has levied down one of the biggest punishments in WNBA history, taking away a first round pick in 2025 from the Las Vegas Aces and suspending Becky Hammon. We're going to get to all that and more, plus some Sky news, right after this.
Welcome to Chicago Sky Central, and here's your host, Haize.
What's going on, WNBA fans and Chicago Sky fans? Or I should say that the other way around. What's going on, Chicago Sky fans and WNBA fans? You find yourself at Chicago Sky Central. I'm the host here, Haize. If you want to follow me right off the top, you can do so at CEO Haize, at CEO Haize. If you want to follow the show, you can do so at Chicago Sky Pod on every social media platform. So typically, with every episode, I like to go around the WNBA with news. And we got some of the biggest news to happen in the WNBA in quite a while. The WNBA has rescinded the Las Vegas Aces 2025 first-round pick for violating league rules regarding impermissible player benefits. And with that as well, Becky Hammon is suspended for 2 games without pay for violation of the league and team policy. There's a whole release from the WNBA in this that came down, and some of it reads this. The WNBA announced today that it has rescinded the Las Vegas Aces 2025 first-round draft pick for violating league rules regarding impermissible player benefits and suspended Las Vegas Aces head coach Becky Hammon for 2 games without pay for violating league and team respect in the workplace policy. Due to a prior trade, the Las Vegas Aces do not have a 2024 first-round draft pick. The team violated involved promises of impendable benefits in connection with negotiations for extensions of then Aces players De'Erica Hamby's player's contract. The respect in the workplace violation was related to comments made by Hammon to Hamby in connections with Hamby's recent pregnancy. This is wild. And this, keep in mind, this isn't like, we knew that the WNBA was investigating the Las Vegas Aces for these. We didn't know anything about Becky Hammon part of it, right? And so that's probably something that came along in their investigation. And this was a complaint that was filed, against the Aces back in January of this past year. And the fact of the matter is, they didn't waste any time. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert came out and said, "It is critical that we uphold the values and integrity of fairness, which created a level playing field for our team. The Aces failed to adhere to the league rules and regulations and have been disciplined accordingly." This is one of the biggest disciplinary actions for a WNBA team in the history of the league. And while we thought the investigation would turn up something, I think it was all pointing to that area that, something was going to happen. It's wild to just think that this is what it's come to. Now, some may say that maybe that this disciplinary action isn't as harsh as it needs to be, giving up only 1 first-round pick in 2025 for a team that is an absolutely stacked team and is the reigning WNBA champions. So already, they added talent to that. But I tell you what, hey, the WNBA is not playing, and when you need to uphold, and I'm glad also that they took it seriously, a complaint against De'Erica Hamby and the comments that was made. Like they did the right thing, right? We can talk all day whether the punishment was harsh enough or not, but the right thing was done. But let's go ahead and move into the regular episode. Let me know what you guys think on all that down below. Do you think the Aces got off easy? Do you think this punishment was hard enough? Do you think it was too harsh? Let me know your thoughts on it down below if you're on the YouTube side. If you're on the podcast side, we'll tell you by the end of the show how to get your thoughts in. But coming out of that, going around the WNBA with more news, Sabrina Ionescu signed a 2-year extension worth reportedly $410,000, considering she was in the last year of her rookie contract. To come under that extension, she had the 8th highest usage rate in the WNBA last season. That's not expected to be the case anymore when you look at now having Jonquel Jones there, Stewart, and Vandersloot all down there, and how she's going to have to sacrifice pieces of her game. But it's good that the Liberty took care of Sabrina Ionescu in this time. When you just look at what she averaged last year, 17 points per game, 7.1 rebounds, 6.3 assists, and 33% from three-point range. Listen, she was absolutely an all-star and deserved to be that. She was second WNBA honors as well. And she deserves it. And especially when you look at the fact she's the NCAA's all-time leader in triple doubles. Sabrina is a baller, and she deserves everything positive coming her way. And I'm glad she got her money. And it sucks that the Liberty, or have Vandersloot, who I look at as a Chicago sports legend, and Courtney Vandersloot. But that team is going to be rocking and rolling, and she's going to have to figure out her way. But they still took care of her, even though they've built a super team down there now. And we'll see how it goes. Having everybody that they have down there, Stewie being down there, that's going to be a team that's must-watch basketball every single time they're on TV. And, if you love the WNBA, I'm sure you're going to be watching the Liberty and the Aces kind of see how they do. But the Aces, the Liberty at least seemed like they built their team the right way. Maybe that's a little bit of shot from my side, but it is what it is. Now, as well as coming, this is kind of Sky News and WNBA news. The Chicago Sky and Lynx game set a WNBA preseason record for attendance in Toronto. When you look at 19,923 people in attendance to watch a preseason WNBA game, that's huge, right? And that shows how the game can grow if you market it in the correct cities. Toronto is primed for a WNBA team. And as we look towards league expansion, I'm sure Toronto now has to be high on that list of cities that the WNBA is looking for. Now, are you going to expect that level of support every single time, even if you bring a team to Toronto? Probably not, right? Because you have to build that team. As this was a special showcase down there, but it's absolutely put themselves and planted themselves as having to be one of the cities that are on that list, especially when you look at some of the rumored cities: Portland, Nashville, Charlotte, Denver, Austin, and Toronto, all being options for expansion in the WNBA. And especially when you look at, they haven't expanded. The WNBA has not had an expansion team in 15 years. Now, that makes sense, especially when you look at the lack of growth, in some years from the league, and the fact that the league has still yet to net a profitable season. But when you look at the growth of revenue around the league, when you look at the number of players who, in the next couple of days, because by the 19th, we got to make all rosters have to be cut down to 12 players. When you look at the number of players that are going to end up without a team, expansion needs to come. It's not going to only help the growth of the game. It's going to help players stick around, and you have a higher level of quality players as well, and maybe even spread out that super team era as well. So just looking at that, but also one of the big notes to come out of this also was that the WNBA sold 98% of the available merchandise when they were down there in Toronto. Now, again, special attraction. You don't get any WNBA games down there, so it makes sense that everybody got what they can while they were there. But all signs point to it, right? And it's a lot of expansion groups, potential ownership groups interested in the WNBA expansion. So we'll see. This was the first game played outside of the United States in 12 years. The last time was in Manchester, England, 12 years ago, right? And so it's wild. It's wild, and I hope that the growth of the W continues because we deserve it. And so getting into the last topic for today, and this is just a quick one, the Chicago Sky have extended guard or picked up the fourth-year option on guard Dana Evans. Now, Dana, who hasn't had the role that I think a lot of Chicago Sky fans have wanted to see her in her time here in Chicago, but she's going into a season in which James Wade has already said he is going to rely on her. She may not start. She's probably not going to be a starter, but she's going to get heavy minutes. Her, Rebecca Gardner, Elena Smith are probably going to be the leads off that bench for the Chicago Sky. And considering they all play different positions, there's going to be more than enough minutes to spread around with Dana Evans. This is the year of Dana Evans hopefully growing and showing that she deserves to be a part of this roster long term. And it makes sense to pick up that option. She wasn't at any risk to not make the team at all. And so it locks her into a guaranteed contract throughout next season. And, James Wade cannot waiver. And if he does, it'll be a hit to the Sky salary cap. Doesn't mean she can't be traded, though. Don't necessarily expect that unless she underperforms. But all signs are pointing to Dana Evans having a big chunk of the pie there at the Chicago Sky and really having her first season to really show what she can do as a ball handler and scorer coming off the bench for the Chicago Sky. I've already said it. I think this is going to be a big season, prime for Dana Evans to really come in and contribute hugely for the Chicago Sky. And the ball's really in her court. James Wade has to use it. Let me not say has to, because you do have Keanu Traylor down there who potentially he could go to if he didn't want to go to Dana Evans, but this is Dana's time. And for Sky fans that have supported her and really looked at her and seen the potential that she has, and we've seen what she has done overseas playing basketball, we know that Dana Evans can be a game changer for the Chicago Sky, a Chicago Sky team that isn't trying to bottom out. They are not trying at any way to bottom out. They gave up a lot of draft picks to bring in Marina Mabry, but Dana Evans is still going to have ample opportunity to show and prove what she can do at the WNBA level. This is her season. This is really her season to tell that story. This is her season to show what she can be at the WNBA level. This is her season to really become that, not necessarily, I struggle to say household name because it's WNBA, but this is her season to really show what she can do and dazzle. And we barely got to see her scratch the surface of what she can do scoring-wise, even in the preseason. But this is Dana Evans' season, and I'm glad that she was locked up. But as I said before, we have our first preseason game coming up this Friday, so be tuned in for that. But between now and then, we know we got roster cuts coming. And as those roster cuts come, we're going to break it all down right here at Chicago Sky Central, the #1 spot for everything Chicago Sky and WNBA related as well. So make sure you're following the show at Chicago Sky Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoSkyCentral@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Sky related. I'll see you guys the next time we go to Skytown. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.